is 6:30 p.m., so I will now call this meeting of the Coralville City Council to order on March 8th, 2022. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Knudsen.
Here.
Gross. Quinn.
Here.
Dodds.
Here.
Goodrich.
Here.
All council members except Councilmember Gross are present, as is the mayor, the city clerk, the city attorney, the city administrator, as well as several other staff in the audience. I would entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
I move to approve the agenda.
Moved by Dodds, seconded by?
Second.
Seconded by Goodrich. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, the agenda is approved. Okay, so tonight we have a couple of different proclamations. I'm going to start with a proclamation for National Kidney Month. Whereas 1 in 3 Coralville residents are at risk for kidney disease, with only 10% being aware of it, and whereas it is critical that attention be brought to this often overlooked but increasingly common disease. Major risk factors are diabetes, high blood pressure, a family history of kidney failure, and being over the age of 60. And whereas early detection and treatment of kidney disease could result in fewer Coralville residents requiring dialysis treatments or transplantation. And whereas the National Kidney Foundation represents Coralville patients, transplant recipients, people affected by kidney disease and their family members and care teams. And whereas the month of March is National Kidney Month, and March 10th, 2022 is World Kidney Day. Therefore, I, Megan Foster, Mayor of Coralville, do hereby proclaim March 2022 as Kidney Disease Awareness Month and call upon all citizens of Coralville to take care of their kidneys and get tested if they are at risk. Signed this 8th day of March 2022, Megan Foster, Mayor. And I believe we have someone here to receive this proclamation. Yes, hi. Why don't you come up to the microphone, state your name, and just say a few words.
All right, thank you. I'm Lee Sanders. I'm here representing the board for the National Kidney Foundation of Iowa and Nebraska. I'm also a kidney specialist at the University of Iowa. So I just wanted to come and personally thank the council for recognizing chronic kidney disease and Kidney Disease Month. And on behalf of the board and as a physician who specializes in kidney disease and an Iowa resident, I just wanted to extend my thanks. So thank you.
Thank you. And you can head on up, receive the, you want a photo?
They told me I needed to get one.
Okay. All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, on to our second proclamation of the evening. This is a proclamation for Women's History Month and the International Women's Day. Whereas the accomplishments and achievement of women were first recognized in 1977 by beginning the annual commemoration of International Women's Day, and later in 1987 by doing the same for Women's History Month. And whereas women are leaders who fill essential economic, social, and cultural roles, and whereas women make critical contributions to science, law, education, engineering, mathematics, and the arts, and are heroes on the front lines of the COVID-19 crisis. And whereas March 8th is celebrated as International Women's Day around the world. And whereas the theme of International Women's Day is changing climates, equality today for a sustainable tomorrow. And whereas women are essential change makers for climate mitigation, initiating sustainability measures, research development, and leadership in Coralville and around the world. And now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Megan Foster, Mayor of Coralville, do hereby proclaim March 8th, 2022 as International Women's Day and March 2022 as Women's History Month in Coralville, and urge citizens to recognize and support the contributions of women in the changing world. Signed on this 8th day of March 2022, Megan Foster, Mayor. And I just want to say how privileged I feel and how honored I feel to work every day alongside such amazing women colleagues and our women who are leading up the departments in our city. So thank you all very much. Okay, on to item number 5. We have an update from the Iowa Children's Museum Executive Director Jeff Capps.
Thank you, Mayor. I have to do something crazy every time I come to one of these meetings, so I thought I would sing for all of you, serenade you tonight. And so it's a beloved children's song, but in fact, it's not really a children's song at all. You Are My Sunshine. And if you listen to the latter verses, it's pretty dark. You know, if you leave me, you'll regret it, and all sorts of mayhem. So we're not going to do that part. We're just going to express our gratitude to all of you. So feel free to sing along. I've changed the words a little bit. You are our sunshine, our brightest sunshine. You make us happy and help us play. We hope you know, friends, how much we love you, but we'll say it anyway. We hope you know, friends, how much we love you, but we'll say it anyway. All right. So, thank you. So it is so true that we appreciate you all so much at the Iowa Children's Museum, and I think you all know that, but like I said, we've got to say it anyway, because your support for going on 25 years now has just meant the world to us. And so I'm here to share good news with all of you in terms of how we are continuing to weather these difficult couple of years that we've all been subject to. And so it is good news indeed. So again, start at a place of gratitude. Thank you so much to the council. Thank you to Kelly and Ellen for just continuing to support us in so many ways. We got a raise this year at the Guest Welcome Center in terms of your support. You all are probably aware of that, and that is really very helpful. And so I'm so thankful for the opportunity to work with you all in so many different ways. So I am so pleased to tell you that from a financial standpoint, we're going to make it. And if I was standing before you this time last year, I don't know that I would have said quite the same thing so confidently. We have been obviously very, very fortunate to have a lot of support both from within the community and then, of course, grants outside of the community as well. But things are certainly looking up, and we're gonna make it. So looking back to 2021, and this is a huge leap from 2020, as you can imagine. We had over 70,000 people come through the door in 2021, and again, would not have thought that was possible at this time last year. So obviously, that's still about 100,000 people fewer than we would have in a typical year pre-pandemic. But again, the upward trend is very positive. A lot of our member families are coming back, and it's just been a long slog, as it's been for all of us in so many different sectors. But it's certainly looking up. In the midst of all of this, we were able to launch some new programs. So you all might remember that last summer we launched a program called Summer Shorts. We're working here in Coralville. Actually had some great funding support from the Coralville Fund through the Community Foundation. Thank you to them. And many others that allowed us to serve 1,100 people, children and families throughout the corridor through free summer engagements that we were doing out in city parks. And we were at Central Park here in the city, and it was just fantastic. And so that was a program that we just started last year. We're going to be continuing that in some different forms this year. We started a program called Storytime STEM that allowed us to take some great materials out into area school districts. We're just going to be expanding that hopefully next year, serving over 500 kids through that program. And then this spring, we're starting a program, or actually adopting a program called Museums for All, which is a national program that we're going to implement at the museum. So you all will remember we have our ICM for Everyone program, which has been our very successful free membership program for vulnerable families. Continuing that, but doing Museums for All as really a lower kind of bar for people getting admission to the museum, so they don't have to sign up for a membership and go through all those hoops. They can just show up and kind of self-identify as a family that could benefit from free admission, and we'll be able to supply that to them. So we're really, really excited about that, and think from an access standpoint, that's just gonna be a game changer for us. So very excited to share that with all of you. And then a new strategic plan in the works called Build, Grow, Share, which we'll tell you more about at another time. And we're glad to be returning to our beloved events here in Coralville. So we'll be doing our gala at the now Hyatt. It's hard to get used to that, but the Hyatt at IRL on Friday, May 6th. And then we'll be doing our annual golf outing on June 2nd at Brown Deer. So those are two beloved events, and obviously being able to get back to those and raise some much-needed operating dollars is going to be huge for us as well. So happy to share all of those things. And then my final thing, Mayor, is I have a customized business card for each of you. Mike, Matthew, I'll leave Mitch is here in case he's able to make it later. David?
Thank you.
All right. I hope these are all right. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Jill, I know you know where to find
Yeah, I know where to find it.
Lori.
Thank you
Thank
for
you.
your
So I
can-do
hope,
spirit.
we've had a lot of, even in the midst of all the challenges that we've had, we've made quite a few updates to the museum as well. Our Take Flight exhibit, we're renovating this year. It's now 12 years old, if you can believe that. So our beloved aviation exhibit is undergoing some changes. And so if you haven't been to the museum in a while, please email me, call me. If you're able to stop by the mall, I'd love to give you a personal tour. So that's my final pitch. And again, thank you. You are our sunshine. We love you, and truly it is sincere. We could not do what we do without the support of this body, this community. And I know I've said it before in front of the council, but in the years that I've been doing this work, nonprofit work, I can't imagine working with a more supportive community than the city of Coralville. So thank you all so much. We are blessed to work with you, and take care. Thank you.
Thank you very
Thank you,
much.
Jeff. And it's nice to see your face. I haven't seen your face for 2 years.
Likewise. Thank you all.
Yep,
Thank
thank you. All right, on to item number 6, community comments. So we do have some folks that want to speak this evening. So we're gonna, we usually have our community comments for 15 minutes, but we're gonna extend that time tonight. One other thing, if we still have some folks that would like to speak, we will let them speak at the end of the meeting as well after our consent calendar, okay? All right, and we are going to allow extra time for individuals that need language interpretation as well. All right, so please state your name.
Hola, mi nombre es Ninosca Campos, soy de la organización Escucha Mi Voz de Iowa City.
Hello, my name is Ninoshka Campos. I'm coming from the organization Escucha Mi Voz.
Estamos aquí esta tarde con un grupo de trabajadores de Coralville.
We are here with you this afternoon with a group of workers in Coralville,
Donde ustedes saben que el gobierno federal mandó dinero destinado del ARPA a todas las ciudades y condados de Estados Unidos.
You are aware the government sent money designated from the ARPA funds to help, to provide help to the people in the community.
El cual creo que ustedes tienen conocimiento que los supervisores del condado del Johnson County dieron $2 millones.
And I'm just guessing that you guys are also aware that Johnson County provide $2 million to the, from that money.
Y la ciudad de Iowa City asignó $1.5 millones destinado para trabajadores excluidos.
And Iowa City also provide 1.5 million to that fund for the excluded workers.
Teniendo $3.5 millones a favor para distribuir a las personas que tuvo impacto negativo durante la pandemia.
Making a total of $3.5 million to be able to help all the people who has been impacted negatively by the pandemia, by the COVID pandemic.
Lo cual este grupo de trabajadores de Coralville, más lo que no pudieron venir porque se encuentran trabajando todavía,
So it's for that this group of workers of Coralville and many others that they cannot be here because they are actually working.
vienen ante ustedes a pedir si ustedes pueden asignar de ese dinero que tienen del ARPA para que se una junto con el dinero que va a dar el condado del Johnson County.
We'd like to ask you to also provide some help to be attached to the Johnson County so they can provide help to the Coralville community.
Porque ustedes saben que en Iowa City se va a destinar un cheque de $1,400 para todos los trabajadores excluidos que tuvieron impacto negativo durante la pandemia.
So together with the Johnson County and the Iowa City, they're going to provide checks from $1,400 for all the people who's been excluded and affected from the pandemic.
Y asimismo creemos que si ustedes asignan un aporte de dinero del que tienen, puedan verse beneficiadas más personas.
So therefore, if you also, as a Coralville City, can help to provide more funds, more people will get benefit.
El cual, créanme, ha sido un año de larga lucha, frustración, pidiéndoles a los supervisores que asignen un fondo para los trabajadores excluidos de Iowa City, de Coralville.
It's been a long year asking to all the Johnson County and the cities to ask for all help for all the excluded workers.
Ya que todos nosotros no tuvimos ningún beneficio durante la pandemia y fuimos trabajadores que siempre estuvimos presentes para que la economía de este estado siguiera vigente.
Since we did not receive any help from the federal government and we are still working during the pandemic to be able to succeed and make the cities work.
Nosotros los trabajadores no tuvimos la misma suerte de las demás personas que recibieron un cheque de estímulo del gobierno federal.
We didn't have the same luck as all the other workers and all the other persons who receive a check from the federal government.
Pero nosotros seguimos trabajando en el campo para que no faltara la comida a sus mesas, seguimos haciendo los trabajos de housekeeping, seguimos trabajando en los restaurantes, seguimos haciendo el trabajo pesado que se vivió durante la pandemia.
But we keep doing our jobs, from the fields, picking up all the food, to the housekeeping, cleaning the houses, to all the workers that need to be helping to provide the city keep going.
Porque nosotros sabíamos que al no tener un estatus legal, nosotros no podíamos tener ningún beneficio de ninguna ayuda y sabíamos que nuestros biles no iban a esperar.
Because we know that because of its legal status, we won't be able to receive any help, but the bills won't be able to wait for us. We have to keep working.
Sabemos que la pandemia tuvo impacto negativo a nivel mundial porque era algo que no se esperaba, pero nosotros los trabajadores excluidos, nosotros los trabajadores inmigrantes, fuimos los que más cargamos durante la pandemia.
We know the pandemic has affected the entire world, but the excluded workers, the workers that are been immigrants, and they've been working so hard for keeping all the people alive in this country.
Porque nosotros sacamos fuerzas porque tenemos hijos que mantener y sabíamos que teníamos que seguir luchando, sabiendo que no teníamos ningún beneficio al momento de haber sido infectados durante la pandemia.
Because we have kids and we have to feed them and we have to keep working, and we know that we was going to be infected because we have to be working no matter what.
Porque ustedes saben que nosotros no tenemos derecho a un desempleo, nosotros en este país no tenemos derecho a un seguro médico, nosotros en este país estamos aislados de la ayuda del gobierno federal, pero sí pagamos impuestos como todo ciudadano de este país.
Because you know that we do not receive any help, we don't receive any, we don't receive any unemployment benefits, we don't receive any social security, we don't receive any health insurance, but we have to keep working.
Y ustedes saben que la mano latina es la que ayuda mucho para el desarrollo y la economía de este país, porque atrás de cada lugar que ustedes van hay un inmigrante trabajando.
And you know, the Latino hand has been working so hard, and behind all the Latinos, there is their hands, their hard-working hands, they keeping providing service to the community.
Nosotros a este país venimos a luchar, nosotros a este país dejamos nuestras familias atrás, nosotros a este país tal vez se nos mueren los seres más queridos y nunca más los volvemos a ver, pero nosotros venimos a aportar fuertemente a la economía de este país para que este país globalice dinero.
We came to this country and we work really hard. We provide a lot of work and we also pay our taxes. But we didn't came here to ask for just help. We also came here to work. We also come here as an immigrants to make this country better and this community better.
Y por esa razón estamos esta tarde al frente de ustedes para hacerles saber, ¿verdad? Y decirles a ustedes si pueden también asignar de ese dinero que ustedes tienen en sus manos un fondo de trabajadores excluidos para que se pueda unir con el dinero que se ganó en Iowa City para que más personas se vieran beneficiadas para la entrega de un cheque de estímulo que se va a dar en los próximos días.
So we ask here to please ask you if you can provide some of the monies that is right now in your hands to add to that money so more people can receive help.
Gracias, eso es todo y feliz tarde.
Thank you so much and have a beautiful day.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Is there anyone else that would like to speak?
¿Quién sigue después? ¿Quién más va a hablar?
All right, welcome. State your name, please.
Sí. Buenas tardes, mi nombre es Noemí y actualmente vivo en Coralville.
Hello everyone, my name is Noemi and I live in Coralville.
Estamos aquí por la razón de que nosotros queremos que ustedes nos apoyen con $1 million para las personas excluidas.
We ask here to ask you from the ARPA money if you can please provide $1 million to the excluded workers.
Esto nos ayuda ya que muchas personas no trabajamos en la pandemia o muchas personas trabajaron y se enfermaron, entonces tuvieron que descansarlos y pues ahí es donde nosotros estuvimos afectados.
This will be able to help you because during the pandemic, many got infected and they could not work, but they didn't receive any unemployment work or any help. Many others lost their jobs.
Esa es la razón por la que nosotros estamos aquí y los biles para nosotros en la pandemia no se detuvieron. Algunos que no trabajaron tuvieron que prestar para poder pagar sus rentas, sus luz, para poder darles alimentación a sus hijos.
But the bills never stop. Many people is in debt right now because they have to ask money to borrow to be able to pay the bills, to be able to pay the rent and to be able to pay all the hospital and bills that they have to pay.
Si todos compartimos, podemos brindar más alivio a más personas que lo necesitan, especialmente a los trabajadores excluidos.
If everyone helps, you can help to provide more help and more excluded workers can receive a check.
Solamente gracias.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Who else would like to speak with us this evening? Welcome. State your name, please.
Gracias. Hola, mi nombre es Griselda y vivo aquí en Coralville. Pues estamos aquí por la misma razón que Ninoska ha explicado, por el motivo de que somos trabajadores excluidos y queremos y estamos exigiendo $1 millón para muchas personas que no fuimos beneficiados durante la pandemia, arriesgando nuestras vidas y teniendo niños pequeños. Mirábamos de cómo íbamos sorry.
No, it's okay. ¿Cómo te llamas otra vez? Perdón.
Griselda.
Good night, everyone. My name is Griselda. I live in Coralville. We are here asking, as Ninoshka already started in the beginning, we are families, they have kids, and then we have been affected by the pandemic. We are here to ask you to please put some money aside to be able to join with the Johnson County money so people can receive more checks.
Gracias. Pues ya sabemos que el condado de la ciudad de aquí de Coralville pues es beneficiada con dinero del gobierno y necesitamos y les suplicamos que también nos puedan beneficiar. Somos trabajadores excluidos, pero como decía aquí la compañera, que todos ponemos un granito de arena en diferentes trabajos, seamos indocumentados, pero también somos una base principal en este país.
So many of us, we don't have papers, but we still have here, and we still have working, and we still have families and bills to pay. So we want to ask you for this help.
Gracias por brindarnos su tiempo y por escucharnos y muchas gracias.
Thank you so much for giving your time and for listening. Thank you.
Thank you. Who else would like to come and speak to us? Is there anyone else? All right, welcome.
Hola, mi nombre es Jordi.
Hello, my name is Jordi.
Perdón. Estamos aquí por la misma razón la que había dicho la compañera Ninoska, de que estamos aquí luchando por $1 millón para los trabajadores excluidos.
We are here, as our friend Ninoshka already explained, to ask for $1 million to help us.
Así para que más personas sean beneficiadas, para que tengan para pagar tal vez biles o renta.
So that way many other people can be helped by having money to be able to pay the rent and the bills.
Bueno, al principio que inició la pandemia, al principio todos tuvimos miedo.
At the beginning of the pandemic, we all was afraid.
Yo en mi caso, yo tuve miedo porque yo tengo 3 niños y bueno, a mí el gobierno no me apoyó, yo tuve que trabajar 5 días y nunca descansé.
In my own case, I have kids and the government never helped me and I have to work 5 days anyway.
Y por eso estamos aquí para luchar por el $1 millón para que todas las personas podamos satisfacer tal vez alguna necesidad de al no recibir un apoyo del gobierno.
So that's why we are here. Since we didn't receive any help from the government, from the federal government, we are here to ask you for help.
Y para nosotros es difícil tener hijos que no tienen un seguro médico porque tenemos que pagar una cierta cantidad si nos enferman.
And for us, it's very hard when we have children and they don't have medical insurance. We have to pay a lot of money to cover their health.
Por eso estamos luchando para que tal vez Dios tal vez les toque el corazón a cada uno de ustedes y tal vez ustedes van a decir sí, les vamos a apoyar con el $1 millón para que tal vez más personas puedan satisfacer puedan pagar los biles o no sé, hay personas que están endeudadas todavía.
And so I ask you to put your hand in your heart and find a way to help us, so that way many others can receive that help.
Y eso es todo. Muchas gracias. Que tengan buena noche. Que Dios me los bendiga.
And that's it. Thank you so much, and I hope God bless you all.
Thank you. Who else would like to speak to us?
I'm gonna speak myself. My name is Miriam.
Yes.
I do not live in Coralville, but I do work in Coralville. And I just wanna let you know, my name is Miriam Alarcon Avila. I'm an artist. And my entire work is to give voice to the Latino immigrants in the beautiful state of Iowa. Since the pandemic started, I just keep hearing these stories and this struggling of these people who's been getting sick, who have lost family members. They are in so much debt because they have to pay so many hospital bills. There is people that they cannot afford to pay the funerals. They have to borrow money to be able to give them a proper funeral to their families. And many stories are just very break my heart. I know during this pandemic, we all have been affected. I know that everyone has suffered, but all these people has not received any help. I'm pretty sure every one of you have received a check, 3 checks in the mail. No one asks anything. You just receive it. They don't ask if you need it, but you got it. None of them receive anything. And by utilizing a little bit of that money, $1 million from the Coralville will be able to provide 700 checks of 1,400. And if you can help the population of excluded workers that live in Coralville can be covered through that. The Johnson County is utilizing a lottery system to give away the money. That means that many of the excluded workers that live in the Johnson County will not be able to receive that help, despite that they really want to help. So by you providing that money and making sure that that money goes to the people who live in Coralville will help a lot of families, a lot of kids. They are working so hard to make this beautiful community alive. Thank you so much for your help. Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you for assisting with the interpretation. We really appreciate that.
Thank you.
All right. If there is no one else who would like to comment, we will move on to item number 7. Item number 7 is a public hearing for bonds. This is a borrowing for the Hyatt Regency Hotel and Conference Center Property Improvement Plan pursuant to the agreements with Hyatt Franchising LLC and Marcus Edgewater LLC. And we have our Finance Director, Tony Rotland, here to give us an overview of this item.
Yes, thank you, thank you, Mayor. The item 7 is the public hearing on that proposed borrowing, and it is for $15 million, and it is the property improvement plan for the Hyatt Regency.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, I will now open the public hearing on this item. Is there anyone who would like to speak to us on this item? Are there any written comments?
No written.
Okay. Seeing and hearing none, I will close the public hearing and we will consider the resolution.
Resolution determining to proceed with the entering into one or more lease purchase agreements or loan agreements for improvements to and equipment for the city's hotel and conference center and taking additional action thereon, introduced by Councilmember Knutson, seconded by.
Second. Seconded by Goodrich. Any discussion or questions on this item? All right, roll call, please.
Councilmember Gross. Aye. Quinn.
Aye.
Dodds.
Aye.
Goodrich.
Aye.
Knudsen.
Aye.
Resolution is approved, all ayes. Item number C is a resolution that will refinance up to 9 bond issues for interest rate savings and to restructure the timing of payments. The repayment sources would be the city's debt service property tax levy, Oakdale TIF, 12th Avenue TIF, and Mall and Highway 6 TIF. The resolution, please.
Resolution providing for the sale of bonds, setting parameters for the sale of bonds, approving purchase agreements, official statements, and other related documents, and authorizing the call on outstanding bonds, introduced for adoption by Councilmember Gross, seconded by.
Second.
Seconded by Nguyen. Any discussion on this item or questions? Roll call, please.
Councilmember Wynn.
Aye.
Dodds.
Aye.
Goodrich.
Aye.
Knudsen.
Aye.
Gross.
Aye.
Resolution is approved, all ayes. Item number 8 is the fiscal year 2023 budget. So, do we have any other comments on this, or?
I don't have any,
Okay,
unless there are questions or
Yep.
thoughts.
yep. Resolution?
Resolution approving the fiscal year 2023 budgets, introduced by Councilmember Wynn, seconded by.
Second.
Seconded by Gross. Any questions, discussion, comments on the budget? We've had some really fantastic discussions over the last few meetings. Really appreciate, again, all of your work, Tony, and all of the department heads and on putting this together. Anything else? Okay. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Dodds.
Aye.
Goodrich.
Aye.
Knudsen.
Aye.
Gross.
Aye.
Wynn.
Aye.
Resolution is approved, all ayes. Item number 9 is the transfer of funds. This resolution would give the Director of Finance approval to transfer funds to cover disbursements and to comply with regulatory statutes. The resolution, please.
Resolution authorizing the transfer of funds is introduced by Councilmember Dodds, seconded by.
Second.
Seconded by Knudsen. Any questions or comments on this one? Tony, do you have any?
I would just offer that this is the sort of the culmination of our discussion of, during the budget process, of fund balances in the various funds of the city. And it reflects our last informative discussion during a work session. So those numbers remain the same. And this is divided into 2 transfers on the off chance that the federal and state layers of government that forward some of the remaining funds through don't get them forwarded in the current fiscal year, such that we can make the transfer, that latter transfer, when those funds do arrive. Again, no indication they won't be in the current fiscal year, but just in case.
Awesome, thank you. Any other questions for Tony or any other discussion on this item? Okay, roll call, please.
Councilmember Goodrich.
Aye.
Knudsen.
Aye.
Gross.
Aye.
Wynn.
Aye.
Dodds.
Aye.
Resolution is approved, all ayes. Item number 10 is regarding property liability and auto insurance renewal. This would be a renewal of the city's property liability and auto insurance. We have our Human Resources Director, Mike Funke, here to give us an overview of this item.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. This April 1st is our annual renewal for our property liability insurance, and we received a very good increase premium of 10.3%, which with everything going on, we think that's a favorable thing. We did a lot of cleanup with our property listings and making sure that we're covered in every area, and we looked them over again, so we were happy with that. We recommend approving the renewal.
Okay, thank you very much. Don, the resolution, please.
Resolution approving Iowa Communities Assurance Pool as the city's insurance carrier. Resolution introduced by Councilmember Goodrich, seconded by.
Second.
Seconded by Dodds. Any questions or discussion or comments? Roll call, please.
Councilmember Knutson.
Aye.
Gross.
Aye.
Quinn.
Aye.
Dodds.
Aye.
Goodrich.
Aye.
Resolution is approved, all ayes. Item B is a resolution appointing Mike Funky and Kelly Hayworth as the individuals to represent the city with the Iowa Communities Assurance Pool. Any other comments on this?
Add new vehicles to our policy without having to go to the council and things like that.
Fantastic. Don, the resolution, please.
Resolution appointing Michael A. Funky and Kelly J. Hayworth as the individuals to represent the city with the Iowa Communities Assurance Pool, introduced for adoption by Councilmember Knutson, seconded by.
Second.
Seconded by Gross. Any questions, comments, discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilmember Gross.
Aye.
Quinn.
Aye.
Dodds.
Aye.
Goodrich.
Aye.
Knutson.
Aye.
Okay, the resolution is approved, all ayes. Item number C, last item here is a resolution approving travelers as the city's cyber liability insurance carrier. And this is for $1 million of cyber liability coverage. Any other thing to
No,
note?
as you can all probably imagine, the premiums are going up in the cyber world, and they've actually increased a lot of their security requirements that fortunately we have met those and had to do a little tweaking, but our consultant did a lot of discussions with travelers and were able to meet all their demands and recommendations. So we're good to go with that.
Awesome, thank you. All right, Don, the resolution, please.
Resolution approving travelers as the city's cyber liability insurance carrier is introduced for adoption by Councilmember Gross, seconded by.
Second.
Seconded by Goodrich. Any questions on this item? Or comments?
I guess I don't understand this. We're calling it liability, but it's not our liability. If
No.
somebody attacks our system and shuts us down,
Right.
this is for damages if that occurs.
Not so much the damages of losing money or anything like that. It has a lot to do with all the different steps you have to go through if somebody's information is compromised. You have to notify everybody right away, and then you have to notify everybody. Basically, you have to hire somebody to do all this notification of everybody whose information may have been compromised and setting up different things. So there's a lot of steps involved with it, so you typically have to hire somebody to do that. And it's quite costly. But yes, fortunately, we have not had any attacks in our systems, and everybody's information is protected, and we feel good about that, but you got to have it just in case.
Any other questions on this item? All right. Did I have you read the resolution? I don't
Yes, we
remember. Okay. I'm sorry. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Quinn.
Aye.
Dodds.
Aye.
Goodrich.
Aye.
Knutson.
Aye.
Gross.
Aye.
Resolution is approved, all ayes. Item number 11 is for the Clear Creek Trail Connection. This agreement is for an Iowa Transportation Alternatives Program, acronym TAP, and provides $212,519 in federal grants towards construction of the Clear Creek Trail Connection on the east side of Camp Cardinal Boulevard from Highway 6 to the Tom Harkin Trailhead. All right, Don, the resolution, please.
Resolution approving a federal aid agreement for an Iowa Department of Transportation Alternatives Program project, that being the Clear Creek Trail Connection, introduced for adoption by Councilmember Wynn, seconded by.
Second.
Seconded by Knutson. Any questions or comments on this item?
I would just like to say hooray. We've
Right.
worked on this project for a long time. It's nice to see it coming
That's
to
right.
fruition.
Yep, yep. I know there is a lot of excitement about this project for sure.
Yeah, that's a fairly dangerous little stretch
Right?
of the street to bike on. What percentage of the cost does the federal grant cover? I forget.
We have our city engineer, Scott Larson, who is joining us up here.
Half.
So the grant we received is roughly 212,000. The current construction estimate is 513,000.
Oh, it isn't that much.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, as you mentioned, it's a dangerous or treacherous little stretch
Treacherous might be a good
of
word.
roadway to navigate if you're not driving in a vehicle. And that's one of the reasons why the construction or cost estimate is higher than you would expect. It seems like a very short project, but there are multiple challenges along the way.
Okay.
Can you explain the railroad track part? Do we just skip over that and then
No, we will
go
actually
south?
we will
or-
actually be installing a temporary trail crossing of the railroad just east of the current vehicular road crossing, and we hope, or we think, in about 3 years' time, the entire railroad crossing, vehicle and trail, will be rebuilt by the railroad completely. So for now, with this trail project, it's just going to be a simple asphalt connection across the railroad, but ultimately it'll be a more permanent concrete crossing. And I'll just mention too, we think the bid date has been pushed now from the expected June letting, so we're probably looking at a July letting right now. But we're still keeping our fingers crossed that we can get the project completed yet this construction season.
That'd be great if you can.
I agree.
Thank you, Scott. Any other questions? All right. Don, the resolution?
We
Did
did
you
that.
read it already? Oh, sorry. I'm just so engrossed in all of the reports. Yes.
Yeah.
I apologize. Roll call.
Councilmember Dodds.
Aye.
Goodrich.
Aye.
Knutson.
Aye.
Gross.
Aye.
Quinn.
Aye.
Resolution is approved, all ayes. All right, item number 12 is a report on an inclusive economic development plan in Johnson County from ASTIG Planning. V. Fixmer Orais is here to share some information with us. Welcome.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. V. Fixmer Orais, CEO and founder of ASTIG Planning. And I'm also joined here, and I'll let I'll let you introduce yourself. Go ahead.
Hi everyone, I'm Asmita Powder, the environmental planner at ASTIG Planning. Thank you.
So today we actually wanted to talk about this inclusive economic development plan. And I want to say it's very fortunate that we live in Johnson County and we have a lot of partners on this project. ICAD, Iowa City Area Development, and Green State Credit Union helped fund this plan. And then we've gotten substantial assistance by the Iowa City Area Business Partnership and also the Multicultural Development Center of Iowa. So with that, I'll just kind of walk through some of the project, outreach and engagement, some next steps, and of course, the ask. So this project is very multifaceted. It began, and we'll go through a timeline in just a second, but we've done quite a bit of extensive research. So we identified over 25 economic development plans and racial equity plans across the nation at every state, or at every level, county, city, state, to see what was there, what could we put together. We don't want to reinvent the wheel, but we recognize that an inclusive economic development plan has to be multifaceted, it has to be flexible, and it has to be somewhat of a study, honestly. So we have to do some of that study up front. And then it's going to include, it is including a survey. And so we wanted to make sure that we have focused outreach in order to ask relevant questions, trying to understand the difference between what are some of the impacts that underestimated community members who are business owners, or they're thinking about opening a business, or they maybe have closed a business, and then even further, those business support organizations like the cities, counties, ICAD, the business partnership. Some questions as to, has COVID impacted you or not, so that we can delineate between what is sort of business as usual opportunities and barriers, and what was actually COVID related. We also are going to be having some focus groups. We've done some work actually already with Angie Jordan of Banjo Knits Empowerment. She was doing focus groups for the Project Better Together 2030, And we were able to work with her in those restorative justice circles practices that she was using. And we were able to talk with many, many people already about some of the economic development opportunities and barriers. We're also hosting one-on-one interviews, and those are with current underestimated business owners all throughout the county. I want to say that this plan is really focusing on Johnson County. So it's, at every level in different industries, that could be restaurant, that could be retail, that could be construction. We want to talk to people who own businesses, people who are thinking about businesses, and get that human-centered approach. We understand that stories and our experiences are things that we can really relate to. And so we want to tell these stories. We want people to understand, what are some of the hardships, what are some of the opportunities that people are facing that you can relate to. And then we will culminate this with 2 half-day strategic doing sessions. I'm a trained strategic doing practitioner, as is Angie Jordan of Banjo Knits Empowerment. And so we'll be bringing together, hopefully several of you, lenders, and of course the business owners or entrepreneurs, different people in the room so that we can kind of move this pathway forward. So we'll collect the data, we'll get the information, we'll present some of that at the strategic doing sessions, and then we'll try and create some of those Pathfinder projects, things that we know that people in the room have the assets to execute without asking for permission. And then we'll be doing 30-day check-ins. So this is really meant to not only understand and give us a baseline of where we're at, but also to propel us forward and to take action right away. So that's kind of the overall big picture. It's not ambitious at all. So in terms of the timeline, we began doing research starting last year, and it took us a couple months, trying to find all those plans and then read them and digest them. And then now we are looking at the surveys. So we started executing those surveys and handing them out in February, and that'll go through the end of April. I also wanted to mention that this is a multilingual survey, so it is French, Spanish, Arabic, and Mandarin, and it's meant to be approachable for, like I said, multiple different entry points. If you're thinking about a business, if you own a business, if you closed a business, and then if you're a business support institution. We'll also be hosting these focus groups and those interviews, February, April. We're kind of in the middle of it right now, to be honest. We're scheduling more and more each week. And the strategic doing sessions will be in May is our goal. COVID could completely change all of this, we know, to be flexible, right? So, but we're aiming for a final document this summer. That's definitely our goal. And I wanted to give just a little bit more detail on those focus groups. So like I said, we've already conducted some of these focus groups with Angie Jordan for the Project Better Together. Now we'll be doing more targeted outreach with specific organizations that are serving people who have business interests. And we know some of those already. So we have the Colectivo de Mujeres en Negocios. We've already scheduled that for the end of the month. MDC Iowa has a BIPOC Business Accelerator. Center for Worker Justice, we're organizing that one. So you can see, over the next, 4 to 6 weeks, we're really kind of having those focus groups. And those focus groups are meant to be 8 to 10 people. You can see down on the bottom that we've provided a stipend for folks and also food, childcare, and transportation. When we say inclusive economic development plan, it's part of the process too. So we have to make sure that people can make it, that they feel like their time is being valued, and that they have childcare taken care of, and that they can get to the meeting, right? So the last thing I'll mention before turning it over to Asmita is our interviews. So the interviews that we have conducted so far, we've done 1 interview, but we've reached out to about 9 folks. Simeon Talley was that interview, and it's about an hour long, and we really are looking at, again, a very targeted or focused approach. So we're reaching out to BIPOC businesses, and we've got a pretty extensive database with ICAD and the business partnership, and looking at the TSB directory. But I think that what we're really looking for, so you can see kind of the green and then the red. So we've done outreach to all of the cities in Johnson County, and we have people that we know of, but those last 4, Shueyville, Swisher Hills, and University Heights, if anybody knows any underestimated business owners in that area, and that could be, you know, BIPOC people, Latinx, Latino, Latina, people with disabilities, women, we really are trying to do more extensive outreach to reach those business owners in those areas specifically. So that is one of our asks, is to help spread this word and hopefully get more people. And with that, I will turn it over to Asmita, and we will gracefully switch places.
Thank you, Vi. Good evening, Mayor and all of the council members and everybody present here today. So I'll be talking about how we've been conducting the survey, how we've been distributing it, what kind of responses we've been getting. So we started, so we launched the survey. It's an online survey. So we launched the survey on 21st February, and we've currently reached out to over 120 people, including businesses, 100 plus businesses, 12 city governments, people from the Johnson County, and 10 plus lending institutions representatives, including people from Midwest One Bank and other local banks in this area. So the survey will be closing on April 22nd, and we're hoping to get over 36 responses by then. So as of today, we have only 19 responses, so we are hoping to double the number, and we've also added an incentive of $100 cash prizes for 5 people that will be doing a raffle when we'll be closing the survey. So moving on to the next slide. So here we've had some stories that have been shared with us anonymously. So we have a dedicated web page for the economic development plan in our STIC Planning's website itself. So there people can share stories, and we've gotten 2 stories so far. I'll just read out the stories we've gotten. As our community continues to grow and more people invest time, energy, and money into improving commercial areas throughout our region, it is imperative we have both the private and public sectors plan for preventing gentrification. If we don't, improvements will be made on the backs of hardworking local independent business owners, and they will be the first to be victims of higher rent and property taxes. This will disproportionately affect BIPOC businesses. And the other story we've gotten is, I'm a general contractor who has worked here in the Eastern Iowa corridor for well over 20 years. I have not received any help or support from any banks or financial institutions in this area. No one will give me a loan and probably never will. So we hope to be hearing more of such stories, of course, and we'll be definitely incorporating it in the plan as well. So our immediate next steps for this plan, the project, is to reaching out to local institutions and expanding the survey outreach and to conduct interviews and the focus groups, and then continue our collaborations that we're doing with all the city governments and lending institutions and other business owners. So finally, this is especially for people who are watching this on television or on YouTube. If you are an underestimated community member who owns a business or wants to open a business, or if you are a support institution for small businesses in the Johnson County, please do reach out to us. We have been trying very hard to reach out to all members of our community, but if you do reach out to us, it'll be very helpful to us. So there's an email address you can see on the screen, and there is a phone number too that you can reach out to. Also, if you do want to take the survey, please go to the link that we provided there, and you can scan the QR code as well. And you can share an anonymous story there as well. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your attention and time.
So I think that one of the asks really that we're trying to accomplish today is to help us spread the word, obviously, as we noted, but also, you know, as cities, and we were discussing this with the county, we're working with the county right now, to really understand what are the programs that the city has that is reaching out to underestimated business owners, and who has been served, you know, whether that's over the last 5 years or 10 years. You know, so we can start to get a baseline in our county of what this looks like. As a board member for the Iowa Area Business Partnership, I know I've sat in those meetings where people have literally asked, well, how many underestimated businesses do we have? And nobody knows. And that's kind of upsetting, really, to know that we don't, or to just have a sense that we just don't know. Because if we don't know where we are, how do we know where to go? You know, so that's kind of the ask, really, is just twofold: to help us spread the word, and then also to, you know, work with staff, essentially, to try and understand, you know, especially in Coralville. And we're going to all the cities, and we're working with the county. The county just released their economic development plan, and so we're kind of trying to integrate their work in ours. It's been a really good working relationship. But we'd welcome any questions that you have or comments.
Well, I just, first of all, want to say thank you for coming tonight and for sharing this information with us. This is something I'm very passionate about, and something that I would love to see, you know, the city work on and you know, really dive into this. You know, when we talk about systemic inequity, we talk about you know, how do we build generational wealth in underserved populations? This is one of the ways that we do it. And this is the way we address some of those inequities that exist in these systems that many of us are very well versed in navigating, but may be intimidating or unfamiliar or not available to underserved populations. And so I'm really excited about this. I also loved seeing that Inside Out Reentry was included on the list of organizations that you're talking to. I mean, that's, you want to talk about an underserved population faced with so many barriers. So I was really pleased to see that organization included.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Have you by chance looked at the One Economy project in Polk County in Des Moines? You might want to check it out. They're doing, it's kind of similar, kind of not, but I think it might help you a little bit, and just to see if there's some efforts that might dovetail, and because it's very similar to kind of what I think their goals and objectives are very similar to what you're trying to do in Polk County. So just to maybe combine and pool resources.
Yeah, I appreciate that, definitely, especially Iowa-based.
Right.
That's great. Thank you.
And it looks like it's a really strong mix of both qualitative and quantitative data that you're collecting, like a really strong mix.
Yeah, we're hopeful that, you know, one of the earlier conversations we had with Iowa City was they really do want to use some of their ARPA funds to direct this. And so we've been very careful in making sure that we're looking at COVID impacts and things like that. We know that that's important. And so, you know, it kind of shows preemptively we're trying to do, you know, on the front end what we know will be impacted on the back end. So, and again, working with staff would help with that too. If there are things that, you know, are Coralville specific that, you know, are coming down the pipeline, then we'd like to get ahead of that, you know. As planners, we like to do that.
That's kind of your thing.
I'd be interested to know, can you just talk a little bit about your coordination with the Iowa area business partnerships? I know you had that listed, and how you've been able to work with them.
Yeah, so Kim Casco, the president of the business partnership, and several of her staff have been really helpful in just helping us navigate and understand what is available and what is not. So I started working with Kim Casco and Kate Moreland, I guess it was last year, I don't know, the pandemic, every year is a blur, so I'm not really sure which year it was, but they had started a BIPOC business, it was a meeting that would happen, and so that's how I kind of met them. And in that space, from there, they realized that, you know, they were, you know, two white women, and then they were trying to direct something that was like all people of color, you know, businesses. And I think that really gave them some pause. And so at that point, I kind of stepped forward with Tracy John Sargent of MDC Iowa, Multicultural Development Center of Iowa, and said, you know, we'd be interested in helping and trying to understand what can we further other than just networking ourselves, which is very helpful because oftentimes we feel very siloed. But that's kind of sort of the beginning seeds of that. And then throughout this, Kim has been just somebody that we can ask. So who do you know at the bank? You know, how do I get a hold of so-and-so? Just the networking, I think, has really been very helpful, just given who they are in the community and who they know. And so it's been very helpful trying to, you know, make those introductions. Yeah.
You said that you reach out to 10 different businesses or people and conduct one interview so far. Is there, I guess, what is your, what's the challenge? I guess reaching out to people and then have people say, no, I don't want to do an interview, or I don't want you to do a story on me or about me.
No, that's a really great question. I think it varies, but some of it is, you know, business owners. So I am a small business owner, and I understand this. I think underestimated community members who are business owners often own more than one business. And so they're incredibly busy. And we understand that. So we try and work around them, and we try and just make sure that we're sort of contacting them in different ways. But that has been challenging to get the actual interview. And then, yeah, maybe there's some hesitancy as to putting their name out there. And we understand that. I think that with the focus groups that we're going to be conducting on our time, we're hoping that some interviewers will come forward, or interviewees will come forward through that process, because we're hopeful that these stories will come out sort of within a smaller group. Maybe that will feel more comfortable, and they'll be able to step forward. But there may be other barriers that I'm just unaware of, but yeah.
Yeah, I was going to ask if language barrier would be a big thing, you know, to conduct interview with a lot of minority business owner.
Yeah. We haven't necessarily come across that yet, just because we're trying to offer that up front, knowing that that could be a barrier. But that may be some of the hesitancy, you know, we're aware of that, so, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions or comments?
Well, I want to thank you for your work in this important area. Excuse my ignorance, but can you define underestimated for me? That's a new term in that context.
Yeah, no, it's, I really enjoy using this term because I think that underestimated community members are, I think, the same synonymous with underserved community members. So,
as what now?
Underserved or marginalized community members. So you're Black, Indigenous, immigrant, you know, Latino, Latinx, Latine, LGBTQ+, women, people with disabilities, often those people that are left on the margins. So instead of saying underserved, we say underestimated, because I think that it just provides a little bit more agency on the part of the community members, that, you know, it's not waiting to be served, but it's saying maybe you're underestimating us.
So would you say it includes all women?
Yeah, I would say that women as a minority, yeah. Yeah, it's I think a broad scope of folks that are excluded from you know, typical practices. Yeah, but that's thank you for asking. We're trying to get it out into the community, the term, because I think that it is helpful to think about how we talk about other people.
Yeah, I appreciate you, because I noticed you were saying that, and I had the same question, and I'd never heard it before. So I appreciate you defining it and sharing that with us.
Yeah, definitely.
I thought you were talking numbers, that you're just underestimating just the sheer numbers of contributors and the impact. That's what I took it as, so I appreciate the clarification too.
I like that as well. I'll use that one too. Yeah. Great. Well, thank you. And, you know, I hope to continue working with you all and working with staff to move this forward as we move into the other phases of the project.
Thank you.
Fantastic, thank you. Thank you, thank you. Okay.
Jill's time.
Where are we now? I need to open my Red Bull. I haven't wanted to crack it open in the middle of the meeting. Okay, we're on the consent calendar. Item number 13. I would consider a motion to approve the consent calendar as presented.
Do I do it?
I'm still learning.
Madam Mayor, I would ask the council to please consider a motion to approve the consent calendar A through R inclusive.
Moved by Dodds, seconded by?
Second.
Seconded by Wynn. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Knutson.
Aye.
Gross. Quinn.
Aye.
Dodds.
Aye.
Goodrich.
Aye.
The consent calendar is approved, all ayes. Item number 14, City Administrator's Report.
Nothing at this time, Mayor.
Okay. Item 15, Mayor's Report. Unfortunately, I will need to start tonight just with some sad news and some condolences. First, I'd like to start by sharing my deepest condolences to the family of Jason Lang. Jason was a former Coralville firefighter, and he had just started his career with the West Memphis, Arkansas Fire Department, and he did unfortunately lose his life in the line of duty. His brother is a current member of the Coralville Volunteer Fire Department. So, you know, obviously we're sending lots of love to his family and also to the Coralville Fire Department. I know that they're hurting as well by this loss. Second, I also wanted to just mention the Liberty High community. Let them know that we're thinking of them as well. As they are mourning the death of a student, Owen Skelly, and also the East High community in Des Moines, thinking about them and the tragedy that occurred yesterday. I also want to say to all of our educators out there, that we're shouldering so much of this tragedy, these young people that are losing their lives, just how these losses just shatter the educators and the school community. And, the public schools are really the beating heart of our communities. And so I just wanted to, say to all the educators out there that, we know that you're hurting too. And we see how much you love and care for the kids in our communities. And we appreciate everything that you do. And I'm sure that you'll have some things to say about that as well, Mitch. So finally, the last thing, I just wanted to talk about the recent change in the mask mandate in our city buildings. I felt that it was important to stay consistent with the CDC recommendations, so we have lifted that requirement in city buildings. Having said that, I do just want to encourage everybody who still needs to wear a mask, who still feels more comfortable wearing a mask, to continue to do so. I have to wear, I wear a mask at work. It's still required at my place of work, so there still are a lot of places in the community where masking is required, and I'm certainly supportive of that. Would encourage everybody to do what is required in their own businesses, their own organizations, and what makes them feel the most comfortable. We do still have young children who are not able to be vaccinated. So just, always remember those who are not yet able to have that protection. And I just want to encourage everybody to get the vaccine, get the booster shot, and, continue to look out for each other as we navigate the ups and downs of this pandemic. And that is all I have for tonight. City Attorney's report.
I have nothing.
Okay. All right. Councilmember Goodrich, let's start with you.
Mayor, I have nothing at this time.
Okay.
Thank you.
Jill?
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted the council to know, since our mayor teaches on Monday evenings, she had asked me to go in her place to the Citizens Community Policing Board to invite them to come and share updates with us at the council, and they were very excited to do that, so we have that to look forward to. So I wanted you all to know that that's coming up. I think the last council meeting of this month, they will start, so.
Fantastic. Thank you for sending that message.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's all.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Nguyen.
I have nothing to add, Mayor.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, Councilmember Gross.
Great, thank you, Madam Mayor. Yeah, I think I'll touch just a little bit on some of the things you said. It's a reason why I was late to the meeting tonight. I went to the visitation of Jason Lang, and Jason also started his educational career at West High School. His brother Nathaniel was a West Side graduate, and when Liberty was built, then Jason went on to Liberty because they live in North Coralville, and that's where things went. But on just on behalf of the city, I was able to express our condolences to his parents and to his brother and to his fiance, and just it's an absolutely horrible loss for the firefighting community and for the West Memphis community and for everybody involved. And then just as you said, it almost sounds surreal because I was speaking with, the reason why I went to the visitation tonight is because his funeral tomorrow will coincide with the funeral of Owen Skelly, who also was a Liberty High student, but the Skellys forever lived in Coralville. Owen went to Wickham kindergarten through 6th grade. So yeah, just as you kind of said, Mayor, a lot of loss and a lot of hurt and a lot of pain in our schools for a lot of reasons. But appreciate your words, and that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. And finally, Councilmember Knutson.
Sure. Thanks, Madam Mayor. Just about mask. I'm not wearing this in opposition to your decision.
Totally, yeah,
as folks know, I'm feeling a little bit under the weather with COVID, and to add to your comments, wearing a mask when you're feeling a little bit under the weather is also a good idea. I'm getting much better, though. That's why I'm here. I also attended my first quarterly sustainability, Johnson County Sustainability virtual meeting last week. Learned some interesting stuff I thought I would share. Long ways to go, but we had a brief discussion about solar power, which I know I've mentioned at times here and certainly advocate for. But the group pointed out that with Mid-American Energy being so green already, 84% renewable, on their way to 100%, it's perhaps not really, and we don't get the incentives, as I think Kelly pointed out. You're better focused on making things more green than solar. So perhaps geothermal in new buildings and things like that. Related to that, we talked about B3 benchmarking, which I hadn't heard of before. Maybe some of you have. It's a program or software. I think North Liberty's using it. They're in on this call as well. That looks at the energy efficiencies of your building. So, it might be, I'm trying to get more information about that, but it might be an opportunity to look at our facilities and see if their energy efficiency couldn't be improved. And the last thing we discussed was related to public transit. North Liberty is looking at options. I know when we talked about the challenges our public transportation system may face a few years or in the not too distant future, we talked about things like Uber and could that be some substitute? And I hadn't really thought that seemed viable, but there's something along those lines using that technology. It's called microtransit. I don't know if maybe people have heard of this. It's getting trialed in Marion.
Right?
Yep. There's a company out of Cedar Rapids that is doing it. The idea is smaller vehicles and targeted trips. So you use some kind of app that lets a group of people know that they need a ride to this place or whatever, and something to keep an eye on. It sounded interesting. Certainly, nationwide companies working on this too. So something we might want to think about down the road, and perhaps, you know, working, since North Liberty is looking at options, looking at them too. That's all I have.
Very interesting.
I
Thank
think
you for that
that'll help with the
update.
price of gas going up too. I think people might be
Yeah.
a little bit interested in working together on that. Good information, thanks.
Okay. And with that, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Moved by Goodrich, seconded by?
Second.
Seconded by Dodds. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right. We are adjourned.